Tom Brush, Bob Graham here. Tom's him. Tom's him. That's nice.
Him.
I'm Bob. So our topic today, Tom, is going to be acceptance. So I'm going to show you why.
You're going to show me why. Interesting.
I got my Orioles baseball hat on because this is supposed to be opening day.
Okay.
Opening day for the baseball season, and I've got to accept the fact that there's not going to be an opening day today. And to me, the rite of spring each year is opening day. Until the baseball season starts, of course, we have the NCAA basketball tournament that leads right into the baseball. And I know you're a big sports fan like me, and you're probably going through withdrawal as I am. But I also was thinking this morning that I've got to accept this reality because I can't move forward unless I accept where we are.
Or you replace. So until I looked on Facebook this morning, I forgot that it was opening day. And honestly, last weekend, on Sunday evening, I was sitting down and I'm like, well, wait a minute. This was the opening weekend of the basketball tournament. And I don't think I had thought about it twice. So yes, we have to accept. And then how do we replace? What do you think about that?
I love that. I just realized I had to move the camera so we can see both of us at once because it's so much more fun. I got to take this hat off because it's impossible to hear with these headphones with the hat on.
And it's not opening day. When you take that hat off, now you're accepting that it's not opening day, right?
Yeah, I'm not worthy. You are on fire today.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day. Why not be?
So it is. And acceptance is kind of a funny thing because I've been talking just like you do to a lot of people who are going through this each day, and it's causing them fear and concern and worry and anxiety and all those things. And I think one of the things I've noticed more in the last couple of days is people are starting to accept that they're going to be home in most states for a while and that they're going to have to adjust to doing business differently. In fact, someone told me yesterday they were so proud that they got onto the Zoom call themselves with no help. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And, it's something that I had to go through probably 2 years ago, and you had to figure out. We're still, oddly enough, figuring out this technology and the lighting because I got a new light today, and it's not right yet. I don't even know what I look like, but such is it. See, now I should tell you, Tom, I should interrupt for a minute here. I've been watching in my spare time Kelly and Ryan episodes because, I want my talk show. So I'm watching those two and I'm watching their witty banter. And every day they bring in a piece of real life. Kelly always talks about her life. So I want to talk today about who's using all the toilet paper that is being squirreled away. I was thinking about that this morning.
Just accept it. Just accept that there's no toilet paper.
Except for the fact that I wore the white shirt today out of fear that I might have to use it down the road. Where is you didn't think it was going there, did you? What is happening and where are people putting all that toilet paper? Because it's been 2 weeks, Tom, and there's no toilet paper. My wife was at 2 grocery stores yesterday, no toilet paper.
I've just accepted the fact that there's no toilet paper, and I'm okay with that. We need to share our squares. Do you remember that? Do you ever watch that?
Share our squares.
Or we need to, instead of sharing them, we need to ration our squares, right?
Ration our squares.
Hold just a couple.
So go from 2-ply to 1-ply is what you're telling me.
No, maybe. If you have 2-ply, now you have double of the toilet paper.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, it's so funny. People talk, I haven't even thought about that. I mean, I know that we've shopped for it and did it, and I was like, okay. But I don't know. I think it's like everything else, at some point we all have to accept that something's not going to be there when we want it, And I think that's interesting.
Like customers? Because right now I'm trying to accept that. There are not a flood of customers right now.
All right, so how are you going to replace that? And I think you're doing it. But
Well,
I think those are the things.
uh,
We can either worry about it
right.
or we can replace it with something else.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think that's part of what led to this program is that we wanted to replace it right away with something that got us up and running each morning and doing things, hopefully providing value to people, though that remains to be seen. But I think definitely says quietly. But I also think it's acceptance of something bigger. And that is that we have, well, maybe it's a couple things. We have no control. We truly have no control. And that um, things are going to be forever changed. And I know that sounds really dramatic, like dun 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 dun. But the reality is things are dramatically changed, just as they were right after 9/11 or after Kennedy was shot. Or not that I remember that, but you go from think about it. There was a time when they didn't even have like big security around the president when he went out and talked to people. Well, now you can get within 100 yards of the president.
So what if we, I think
I'm
trying
playing
to,
with my camera. Sorry.
I see that. I was like, what, you're going to try to hit me or slap me? He said, don't talk, Tom.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go. Never.
I get that. But here's the thing. Isn't life always changing? And is this maybe the changes they seem a little bit more dramatic because we're going through it? Like what happened when we picked up a cell phone? Is that change any more dramatic than the change we're going through now?
Now, just so we're clear, Tom, young people listening, if they are going, wait, there was a world where you didn't have cell phones? Yes, there was a world. I remember that world. Can you imagine how much time it would take to spin that rotary phone, Tom?
Well, think about the first cell phones came in a box like bigger than this.
And our first one I had to be hooked to your car cigarette lighter.
Yeah.
Which really, think about how silly that is. Hey, let's give people this great technology and tether them to their car. That's wisdom.
Well, and I think and this is not easy for everybody to go with. So I think we have to accept that everybody's taking this at different places. Where I'm trying to take it for myself personally is every day we wake up, there's change. Some are bigger changes than others. But if we just accept the fact, one, and I think you said it earlier, we have no control. There are things we can't control. Almost 99% of the things that we deal with, we have no control over. Can we control the sun showing up? Nope. Can we control whether it rains? No. Can we control, so there's a lot of things that are out of our control. And if we can accept that and figure out, okay, all right, how do I move on? Not always easy to do, but I think that it's a lot about mindset, and if you think this is a huge change, it's going to be a huge change. If you take it as not the virus and the impact of that, but that what it has done to most people's daily lives as just an inconvenience, it's something different. And yeah, for some, they're more inconvenience than others. But all right, so the question to me is when you're hit with that change, accept it. And then what are you going to do differently? And how are you going to move on? And I think that's sometimes really super hard for people. And for others, they figure out, what am I going to do? How am I going to use Zoom? How am I going to work from home? How am I going to, and if you stress about that, which is okay, it's going to be a lot harder for you to figure out how to move forward. If you
Absolutely.
accept it and move and say, okay, I accept that it's going to be messed up and I have to do a webinar today for a workshop of nonprofit groups and I'm going to be sitting in my bedroom doing it. Took down the blanket so there's not
good. No hostage taker scene. Hey, Tom, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. We've got a question from Sissy. She said, this is great. Is this pre-recorded on Zoom or are you live on Zoom and streaming it to Facebook? I need to know how to do this. And I wanted to just say to Sissy, this is live, this is real, and I'm proving it right now by this interaction. And real quick, Tom, let me tell you who Sissy is. You're going to love this. Laura and I, my wife and I, went to Sonoma, California. It's been like 10 years ago. We go into this little place. It's got a beautiful sunset and they have wine. It's our first winery. We want to go to the wineries. We go into this winery. We're sitting there and a guy comes to us and says, you've got to go to the Francis Ford Coppola place. It's the big winery there. And we're like, okay, whatever. He leaves and the owner, Sissy, comes out and goes, where are the people from Baltimore? We're like, oh no, what have we done? Jeez, we're in trouble. And she comes over and says, whatever you do, let me give you a list. She goes and gets a map and maps out a course for us to visit wineries, breakfast, lunch, the whole bit. And we followed her map. Never went to Coppola, but had all kinds of great food, went to great wineries. So Sissy just talk about acceptance. She accepted that there were some great wineries beyond the popular named ones, and we really benefited. So Sissy, if you're still listening, watching, wanted to thank you yet again. That was one of the most generous things. And that was a deal where all we got was a couple of glasses of wine from her business.
Right.
She really gave us a whole lot of value and really made our trip so special. And I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, think about, you had to be like, all right, this stranger has just come to us and told us to go to all these places. You had to accept the fact that she maybe knew what she was talking about. Or because you could have been like, why would we go to these tiny places? We're going to all the big name people. Right? So we do it every day. We accept information, advice. Sometimes we don't accept it. It's just a part of who we are.
Well, we probably accept less than we should, if you were to think about it. I mean, that's where our close friends or our close business allies are the people we accept that from more so than other people. Like I had a guy on LinkedIn the other day who did not like some messaging of mine. He thought it was offensive. And he took the time to send me a note. I was like, wow. And at first I'm like, how dare you? You don't know anything. This works really well. And then I was like, wait a second, hold on. There's a reason why this message is being communicated to me. This guy seems rational. So we started to have a dialogue back and forth. And I learned a lot from him. And I think he learned a lot from me. And it was really, his perspective was here and mine was here. What we ultimately got to, the acceptance I think he and I would both come to is, it was somewhere in the middle.
Sure. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, hold on. Time out.
I saw it coming.
Someone had one perspective. Somebody else had another that were extremes. And you figured out how to have a conversation and make it work? No, that's not possible. Does that even exist? I thought in this world we can't do that. You either have to be here or here. And if you're not one of these two, I'm not talking to you. You're not talking to me.
Well, I'll give you the best example of that, Tom, which is you had the people that believed that there was a virus and a real serious issue, and you had the people that were deniers. And over the last week, those two groups have come closer to the middle as they've realized, like, whoa, hey, time out. Yeah. It's no longer just the people 80 and above dying. It's everyone all over. So,
well, it's not everyone all over.
So, but I'm sorry, all age groups.
Correct. There you go.
Throughout the country. Sorry, you're right. Thank you for correcting me there. Didn't want to be negative. But I think that's another good example. And part of it is acceptance. I think many people, I know for me, I don't want to accept a lot of this because it means uncertainty, unpredictability, and discomfort. I mean, each day right now is really discomforting to me in the sense that, yesterday I was cleaning out old emails. I cleaned out 4,000 old emails and I'm going through and lamenting. It's like, oh, I remember when I was going to that networking event. Oh, I remember having coffee at Starbucks with her. Oh, I remember doing that with him. And it was a trip down memory lane, and not knowing when that will ever happen again was kind of disconcerting to me.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, I think that's hard, but I think one of the things that I try to do when those things hit me is I try to say, well, what's the fact that I know, right? And what are the things that could happen, might happen, should happen, will it ever happen again? Is like, I know that here's where we are today. I'm not able to go to Starbucks with somebody, but I'm able to hop on a Zoom call and or a phone call and still connect and engage and move forward. And so, not that this is easy, but I'm trying to choose to deal with what are the facts that I know in front of me. Right now, I know I'm healthy, I have food, I'm figuring out work and what that all looks like, but I'm trying desperately not to go to what could happen, what might happen, because that's, I think, where we really start to struggle and accept this is where we are today. Let's wake up tomorrow morning and figure where we are tomorrow.
Although I think part
And
of
that's
this,
just me. I know that's not
right.
everybody.
Well, but part of the struggle, Tom, for me at least, and I agree with that philosophically, but in reality, oh, good, the green juice is here. Um, now we can end it because you've shown us the green juice. Um, I think the struggle for me is I want to know what's coming down the pike because as much as I want to focus on today, and I try to, I'm worried about tomorrow because we're getting near the end of the month and I have a mortgage to pay. Most people have some sort of payment due at the end of the month. There's economic uncertainty. There's uncertainty about, you know, uh, just all kinds of things. Topping off your gas tank. I was out the other day and I topped off my gas tank. I think I bought $4 worth of gas because I didn't know, one, when would I ever drive again? And two, would there be access to gasoline? Which is complete. That's like toilet paper. I totally get it. But the other thing about it is it gave me some sense of control that I could do this thing to take an action. And I think acceptance has to be followed by some sort of action because that to me is when it sticks. Just like exercising one day only is useful really in the long run if you make it the second day and the third day and the
Right.
fourth day. So it's really acceptance leading to an action,
It's all
whatever
part of
that
the
action
process.
is.
Yeah, I mean, if you just accept it, you're not really going to move much further than you were if you just didn't accept it, right? If
Right.
you don't say, okay, if I just say, okay, I'm accepting that this is the new norm, and you don't say, well, okay, how am I moving forward with that? It's like, all right, I have to maybe, and I'm sure there's some step process for this, but I almost have to verbalize it and explain this is who I am, accept it, and then okay, here are the next steps I have to take so that I don't just get stuck in that place of either acceptance and just being there like, all right, I'm accepting my fate, I can't do anything about it, or um, I can't do anything about it and I don't can't even figure out how to accept it. How do I move forward? How do we move forward?
Well, maybe, Tom, you're talking about the 5 stages of grief and loss, right? Are you familiar with those? No? You with me? I lost you, Tom. You went dark on me. Come back, Tom. Well, let me talk about the 5 steps because I'm seeing that you froze on me. Hopefully, I didn't freeze on you, but I think we're good. And the 5 steps of grief are denial. And I think we had that plain and simple. Um, a lot of us denied it. Anger. We certainly saw some of that last week. Bargaining, which I'm not sure we kind of whipped right through that. Depression, which I think we saw in the last maybe ongoing. And then finally, the 5th step is acceptance. And it looks like I've totally lost Tom. So now I finally get to do this the way I want to do it. And those 5 steps of grief are really important for us to think about because they're really key. Sorry, I took a pause. I was trying to see what happened to Tom. Uh, and so I think we've got to accept to move on. We've got to accept. So I guess the word of the day is acceptance, and the challenge I would put out to people is that, hey, you want to try to figure out what you can accept today. Accept something that yesterday or earlier today you couldn't accept, and maybe accept more. Accept that this is the situation and that you can't control it, and that there's opportunity here. And what's the action you're going to take? If you want to share with us what that action is, we'd love to hear it. Until tomorrow, hopefully, I'll get Tom back tomorrow. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.